The runners lived along the Gulf Islands. They lived there at Gabriola. That's where Cooper Island started. People stayed there. There were 2 big houses on each side of the mountain. The mountain went over like this. They went to the top and they looked down. Look out the Gulf. They see canoes coming down. They come down and they hollering at our people. The enemies are coming. Then they run down from Gabriola, Valdez, come down to Galliano, keep running along the beach, telling all the canoes that's parked along the beach, they're from here. Tell them that the enemy's coming.
What's important to me about these waters is the water and the area we live in is life. We live off the salmon, the herring, the oysters, the clams, everything around us, we live off of it. And as time is going, in my years, I want this to continue for my own family and my kids.
The sea is our grocery store. The sea, the ocean is our table. When the tide is out, the table is set.
We used to host over 1,000 people on that beach. There was enough clams and shellfish, oysters, salmon. There was enough seafood to feed everybody. We were so rich.
We have stories of fish being in the SÁNEĆ Inlet being so plentiful that you could walk on the backs of the fish. We have stories of ducks blocking out the sun and nothing but shadow for us. We still remember these times. They're not that long ago.
There was so much herrings, we used to hang them in the longhouse. Never mind the little smokehouse. Put them in the longhouse. Even the salmon, the codfish. The big house was the only life we knew. That's where we lived. And I said, that was the good times. That was the good life.
About the last 10 years that anchorages have started to show up. And then now you see at least 5 that are fronting the beaches between Lyackson and Penelakut alone.
And while everyone says they don't do anything, they don't cause any harm, we know that that's not true. We know about the dredging and what it does to the ocean bottoms. We know about illegal harvesting that takes place by the crew. We know about illegal dumping, and we don't know what the substances are.
They don't go in, they don't empty their septic tanks. The garbage just goes over. And this bay once was a bay where we harvested clams and oysters, and now the contamination in that bay in the last 5 years, we need to get control over that soon.
You look at our waters, we still have Quw'utsun or orcas that come through here. We still have blue, gray whales. We still have all the life that's very important to us in this area. Our fisheries or sockeye or chum, they all come through these waters, and they're all impacted by tanker traffic. They're all impacted by polluters. They're all impacted by barges, and the list goes on. And we can't have a National Marine Conservation Area while these big polluters are still allowed to do what they're doing. It's smoke and mirrors.
I feel bad about all the ships in here. All the way around. Along the beach. I feel bad because what are they throwing in our ocean? Because they're anchoring. in our ocean.
Indigenous voices have been ignored. Indigenous traditional sciences have been ignored. It's important for us to get back in there so we can save something. As a child, I used to come down to the ocean with my grandparents to dig clams, and we eat the seafood, we fish, but we see that disappearing. I can't bring my children down to our own beach now and harvest clams because it's polluted.
I used to always go fishing with my dad. Out here, we used to go out and guaranteed we'd always get something. And then one day we start noticing the decline in the chum and the springs. One day we come back in and my dad says, I'm not going to contribute to the decline of the salmon in our bay. I'm not going out anymore. And I never went out anymore after that either. I never been out there fishing again. And that's been about 25, 30 years ago.
We don't get to go there no more. It's because we're put on this little reserve, and that's where you guys got to stay. That's the way I see it as. And a lot of our people, the younger generation, my generation down, don't know them beaches,
We have a hard push with the Crown on these discussions because they didn't give us that notification that they were going to infringe upon our rights or that they're going to extinguish these rights. And we know that if left up to the settlers, that they'll continue to look at it as resources. For us, it's our territory, it's our livelihood, our way of life.
What prompted the Indigenous nations to come together and form the Indigenous Management Board is that in 2003, Canada unilaterally announced that it was creating a Gulf Island National Park Reserve. And then they announced that they were creating the National Marine Conservation Area. And they had no conversation with our communities. They just announced it and we learned about it in the papers. We need to be part of making decisions, not just stewards where we're guiding or making recommendations, but actually sitting at the table as an equal decision maker with the governments of Canada and British Columbia on the National Marine Area, as well as the territories that surround it.
But I think it's important that if you're going to represent the IMB and be fighting Canada and BC for all of these things, you can't just talk the talk. You have to walk it.
It's the one voice, one heart, one mind. So it's not just coming from our mouths to the ears of the government or the ears of the community, or it's coming from our elders.
And it's our job to make sure that the Crown doesn't further colonize us, whether it be with their legislation or whether it be the creation of parks. There's a conversation that needs to be had about these unceded lands. And here in British Columbia, this is all unceded lands, and these lands and territories belong to us in the waters as well.
It was so that we would work together instead of having parks going between us and trying to separate us. And that's how we started.
By having that seat and exercising that authority, it enables us to ensure that we have something for future generations. And that's what we're always keeping in mind. And that's what we're always using to guide how we do our work.
The ultimate dream for me with the Indigenous Management Board is to have all 11 nations working together where we are actually the governing body over our waters and our Gulf Islands.
As long as we are strong together, we can accomplish anything.
Our elders are a huge contributor to how we manage land and waters. So we'll continue that internally with Cowichan tribes, however, continue to work with the other 10 nations to make sure that our messaging is consistent with each other and also respects all 11 nations' voices and teachings.
I think for a large part the Crown wants us to be Canada's Indians. They want First Nations to be Canada's Indians. And it's just not feasible today. Our rights are still very much alive. We haven't given them up.
You know, I think about our ancestors and them looking down on us. And what are they seeing? And what are they thinking? Do they think that we're actually operating in a Nutsaʼ shqwaluwun way? Or is there things that we still need to do?
The IMB, hopefully with their help, that we can start cleaning up some of these problems and look after the future for us. So if people can care about the environment, they're gonna start looking after it, and unfortunately that's not happening now.
That's the most important part, is ensuring the survival of our sea life. We don't want herring to be extinct.
We're trying to protect them because we're not going to have food forever. Where are them salmon going? We don't know. Ahoo.